I just want to start off by saying that yes, COVID is and should be a catalyst for many forms of change in the world. The Western education system is one that was designed to suit a very specific subset of society. That is to say, it was designed to suit able-bodied, straight, white, cis men with no responsibilities as carers. This does not reflect our range of students. We have single parents, students with disabilities, students who have learned English as a second language, and many, many more varieties of learners. For decades at least, people have been fighting to make the system adapt to this wider variety of learners. I firmly believe that the tragedy that is COVID will speed up that change. Blended learning, where in-person classes and study happen alongside recorded lectures and accessible online materials, is the way forward. Before the pandemic, TU Dublin had already begun working on staff training in universal design for learning, but a lot of the work focused on its applications for in-person teaching and learning. Thus, there is a lot of work to be done on bringing our digital services and technology into line with universal design for learning. Universal design for learning is a simple concept. It is a person-centered method of design in that services, spaces, and materials are assessed and designed based on how our users need to access and use them, what they learn from them, and why that design works. Yet, even in UDL, there is limited spaces for oppressed voices, including disability, but especially racially oppressed voices. In the disability community, the phrase "nothing about us without us" is well known. In the disability community, it is used to fight the idea that service providers know what we need from a service more than we do. We are often not given input into a service or space design. This happens to many of our students too. They are rarely taken on as consultants or designers for student-focused services. When you give marginalized students the space and support, including pay, to come on board as consultants and designers, they can help you revolutionize your service. When you take the needs of your most marginalized students and those at the baseline, or use those as the baseline for design and adaptation in your space or service, you create a much more robust service. Having students involved in creating that service can build a foundation of communication and positive interaction with it too. The strategic plan for 2030 for TU Dublin has 3 key tenets: people, planet, and partnership. Our aim is to become the most accessible university in Ireland by 2030. That means a huge and radical focus on what needs to change in how we teach and work. We don't just want diversity for the sake of a tick-the-box exercise. We want to support the marginalized groups to be able to bring their range of knowledge to the world. We can't know the issues affecting marginalized groups unless they're at the table with us. Thus, our 3 interlinked tenets. Thus, you can't plan sustainability without people in partnership. If you want to create a sustainable learning environment, our students need to be partners in designing and developing that environment. Now, coming back to the people element, there are many of our students who actively fear the return to normal, as this is the first time in a long time that they have been able to engage in class. There are a lot of people who have existed in lockdown. You can't see my air quotes, but they're there, long before COVID. Our society has not been willing to adapt and has forced many kinds of people into isolation, some for years. COVID has forced that adaptation to happen and opened the world in many ways for many people. Let's not close them off again. Taking a quick note from the Addams family, normal is an illusion. What is normal for the spider is chaos for the fly. Normal has indeed been utter chaos for some of our students. While enrollment rates of disabled students have gone up, graduation rates have not, mainly because we are only now starting to adapt to meet their needs. Why, with all the struggles that we have been through, should we lose the few benefits this year has brought. Why not instead work on improving and creating standards for the online materials that we provide, the materials that have given these students access to our services? What we need to be doing is looking at why these materials work or don't work for people. And to quote Audre Lorde as well, it is not our differences that divide us, it is our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences. Over the past year, we have gained experience in operating online classes, conferences, and team meetings where people could join in no matter where they were. Past, the originators of UDL require that educators provide multiple means of engagement, representation, action, and expression. And these can happen no matter where the student is. Engagement is the why of learning. Representation is the what. And action and expression are the how. By recognizing and celebrating differences, we learn that the how, what, and why of learning are not set things. They evolve and change as the needs of our population changes. Thus, we need to constantly be engaged with our users and change with them, and occasionally preempt the need for change. Libraries historically have been places that encourage independent learning. Yet library instruction and tours are very much led by teachers and librarians, not students. Part of embracing UDL is in looking at how users learn through our instruction as well as in our space. We need to ensure that our InfoLit classes and library tours work for all students. Examining the adaptability of InfoLit, especially for students with disabilities, is an area that is only just beginning to be examined and should certainly be looked at with the intent of continuing to develop on the InfoLit we provide online as well as in person. If we want to know what our users' online needs are, they need to be involved in the design of our online spaces and resources. In a recent survey, Your Education, Your Voice, Your Vision, by the IUA's Digital Teaching and Enhancing Digital Teaching and Learning Group, 76% of students stated that they would only like to be on campus 1 to 3 days a week. 58% said that they would prefer to study at home for exams. This is a survey that was, to the best of my knowledge, done by students for students. So this information is something that we would not have without them. This shows the desire for a lot more flexibility in how and where students access education and educational materials. Thus, we need to push for more innovative ways of enabling online independent learning. In TU Dublin, we are aware that the students we have been through a huge period of upheaval, both because of the pandemic and our move to a new campus. The creation of a virtual or augmented reality tour of the library was done to help ease some of the anxiety of our students. Our students face, and is something that we have discussed for quite a while. It was funded by the TU Dublin Impact Project. This is a project to develop the virtual reality tour of the library. The tour is being developed in partnership with engineering, photography, and creative digital media students and academics across TU Dublin. The content is being developed by students for students. The aim of the tour is to provide a unique orientation experience to students with a hope that it will be particularly beneficial to students with a disability or who may struggle with anxiety. The learnings from this project will inform future VR, AR, library and campus tours. It is worth noting that, to the best of my knowledge, there is no way to embed audio description or screen reader usability into VR tours at the minute. So there are still some accessibility barriers even with these. I'm just going to try and see if I can get this video to play for you guys for a second. It shouldn't be too sensory overwhelming. And we'll go back to the presentation now, hopefully. Oops. I've skipped ahead there a bit. I don't know how I go back. Sorry. Okay, there we go. So the second TU Dublin Impact funded project is AT for All, and it has been developed by Dr. Catherine Deegan from the School of Electrical and Electronic Engineering in TU Dublin, and Carissa Smith, a student of Information Services and Information Technology in the School of Computer Science in TU Dublin. AT has a reputation for being expensive, yet as a rule in consumerism, the more mass-produced something is, the cheaper it then becomes. Having these products promoted only to a niche market disservices not only their effectiveness, but also the people who really need them and can't afford them. So there are two parts to the AT for All project. One is an assistive technology toolbox, which is available via this link here, but I think we might be running a bit short on time. And the second will be AT Tech will be made available to all library staff and students in the library. A lending library of AT Tech will be made available, which will consist of tech such as LifeScribe pens, graphic tablets, scan pens, sound cancelling headphones, and more. The library will also be collaborating with the project members to deliver workshops on use of AT Tech in the library. And lastly, we have OERs and accessibility. Library staff have been contributing to open access resources to support and enable accessible teaching and learning. Library staff have contributed to the TU Dublin Open Teaching and Learning Total Open Educational Resources Criteria Working Group. And that is actually the group that has adapted the guidelines that you see linked before you on this slide here. These were adopted from Queen's University Belfast's Thrive guidelines, which are, I believe, available through Creative Commons. And that is everything.